20-minute news segment. Watch news coming right at you each and every month. From me, Justin Hast.
And me, Emily Marsden.
Em, good afternoon to you. How are you?
Good afternoon. I am very well. Very excited. Enjoying the...
It's taken only a few days to grow.
The big grow.
It's taken... No one's ever said that to me. Thank you very much. It's incredibly itchy, incredibly uncomfortable. It's actually now creeping, it's like a slug creeping into my mouth.
It was quite the shock.
Walking down the street this morning, beautiful morning here in London, and I was walking with my news report here, and I couldn't help but feel Ron Burgundy-esque, and it felt good. It felt really good.
You feel like you found your own. You've come into something you didn't even know about.
I never thought I'd be in any shape or form anywhere near journalism of any kind. The fact is, I am somewhat near in a slightly different realm.
You're
but
a
we'll take it.
I love it. It's true. An influencer. I actually think everyone should see your shoes today, just as a side note. I think Justin's got some stellar.
All right, guys.
The commitment.
Side note here. This is a pair. I don't know how well you can see. Oh, God, you can't really see it. Well, see how flexible I am.
Yep, they're good. They're purple.
That is an Alden loafer. An Alden loafer made in New Hampshire, I believe, in America. Well known for their cordovan, their shell cordovan. And this colorate is a particularly interesting color. Purple-ish, brownish. I love it. It gets better and better with age. Doesn't really fold and crease. It just holds itself. It's really interesting. I'm sure there'll be some out there that know the colorate from Alden.
Well, it really stood out to me this morning.
Thank you, Em.
Stellar.
Thank you very much.
I had to bring it in.
Quick update to this. This is our second episode. This is our second news round. 20 minutes max. And Em and I have decided we're going to try and format it a little bit better for you. To say that we're going to come at you with one news update each. And then we've got our kicker at the end, which was our Bonnie Blue segment last week, which landed as we hoped it would, tongue-in-cheek. And this week we've got an equally divisive subject for you, one that we hope will land in a similar fashion. And we appreciate politics and international relations, but we are not providing information on our own political views. This is not a party political broadcast. Right, let me lead the charge, if I may.
Let's do it. Let's go.
We've had the news, sadly, this month, February 2025, that Rolex have decided to kill the Carl F Bucherer brand. A brand that was produced, developed, delivered alongside Bucherer the retailer. Of course, Rolex purchased Bucherer the retailer, and most people weren't asking what the hell would end up happening to Bucherer, the Carl F Bucherer brand. Forgive me, guys, I'm going to probably be stroking this a little bit as we go. Now, they have made interesting watches. They have not cut through here in the UK, I would say it's fair to say. Yeah. They were always used strategically in brand, in boutique, right, to push... Strategically, I gather, used strategically. Tell us below if you've ever had an opportunity to buy one in the course of buying some jewellery or a higher-end watch from Bucherer. The sadness, I've got to say, is twofold. They released a world timer last year in rose gold, I think, black dial, silver dial, white gold case, I think. Absolutely stunning watch, genuinely stunning watch. So I felt that they were moving in the right direction. So that's slightly sad. There are a lot of people there that probably lost their jobs, which is sad. Yep. I was, ironically, having never done any work for them or been involved with them in any capacity, was in conversations with them literally last month, about going and doing, and this is probably the thing that they were most known for, and was probably their best work, was their environmental work with the Manta Trust, supporting manta rays around the world. And then the manta ray is both the large manta ray and the devil ray, which is the smaller ray.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, both very, very important to the ecosystem around the world. And I was going to be going to, where was I going to go? To the Cape Verde Islands, I think. Oh, they were inviting me to go to the Cape Verde Islands to for 4 or 5 days to study these manta. And for me, study them. Now, they asked me if I had a diving license. I said yes. And as a result, I'm wearing my dive watch today. I'm wearing my Panerai, my 40mm Radiomir. And I lied through my teeth because I wanted to go. They were asking if I would lead an expedition on the first day with divers. And I said, yes, that's no problem. I've got my third level dive certificate. I absolutely didn't.
Justin.
And they were even prepared to sponsor me to go. So there was going to be a payment as a result as well. So it was the ultimate package. Payment, an opportunity to go and learn to dive before I went, because I'd have to go and train of some
level 3, isn't that like the super extreme?
Like master diver.
So you're going to lead an expedition. So you're
correct.
You are a safety hazard.
None of it was true, Em. Bottom line is, none of it was true. And a bit like I've taken lessons from Richard Branson over the years. You know, let's just get the deal done and then work out how we deliver it. I wanted to go to the Cape Verde Islands. I wanted to dive, and they were going to make. They were gonna support the manta. I love nature. I love the outdoors. Anyway, the sadness was the minute that news broke, I saw it and I thought, you're not going to Cape Verde Islands. You're not going to. And then minutes later, got the message from a lovely lady that I was speaking to at Carl F Bucherer to say, I'm afraid this project has been terminated. Sad news. But there we are.
What are you sadder about here? I think you might...
I think there's some bitterness. There's some personal bitterness here, and I'm prepared to admit that. Are we going to miss them on the watch landscape? I think it's fair to say we probably won't. And I suspect, sadly, that we may see more casualties across the year to come, because there are a lot of brands out there at the moment, and there isn't space, quite frankly, right now for everybody. So sadly, we may... And, you know, Rolex... Juggernaut, absolute juggernaut of business, and it's brutal. Let's be clear, it's brutal out there.
What reason did they give for ending the brand?
They didn't really, as far as I could see. I mean, look, it's probably been a loss leader for them for a long time.
For sure.
They need to focus on Tudor, who have actually had a pretty tricky quarter, by all accounts, looking at that report that came out recently. Rolex obviously going well. So I think they've got enough on their plate. They're doing, they're focused. And any good business, any good individual, they're focused. They're laser focused. But that's my news. That's my update for you guys for February 2025.
I can't believe that. I'm a bit stuck on it. That's quite a thing to be missing out on. Look, to be really honest, the watch, like, you talk about watches and brands appearing. You're seeing that in the indie space massively right now. Everyone's sort of having a go, which is amazing and cool to see. But in the sort of Schumpeter era of you know, like creative destruction, and this idea that business and competition breeds excellence. You know, I do think we will see, or we should see, by market economics, we should see the decline of more brands. And if you're owned by Rolex and gone, I mean, they have infinite pockets in a lot of senses. If they wanted to keep it around, they could. So it could be interesting. We didn't discuss this before, but have you got a brand in I mean, it's a horrible thing to say, really, but have you got a brand that comes to mind that you're slightly concerned about, the survival of? Survival of? You know, there are quite a few that I sort of, you know, you see a lot of, you hear a lot about, and then they sort of seem to dissipate. Well, I say generally look at secondary or grey market prices. Like as a barometer of health. As like I sort of see quite a lot of those now. They're way cheaper than I think in the 20s than I ever saw before. Quite a few brands, and it does feel odd to sort of single them out. But what about you? Let me think about that. Anything that comes to your mind? I actually don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head here now as well. I don't know, guys. Yeah, that's an please in the comments. That's an interesting one. Who's at risk? Who is at risk? And if we find something in the comments that's particularly interesting, next month we will address that. We'll address that. And I want to go do some digging, actually. I'm going to go do some... Let me put some proper thought into that, because I think we could probably come up with a category. Just off the cuff, I'm just immediately thinking of a brand. Someone like Chrono Swiss, for example. Yeah. Like, are they still in business? Yeah, I have no idea. Are they still in business? Yeah, God knows. God knows. Anyway. Interesting. Thank you very much for your support there, guys. And right, what is your update, my dear? Look, it feels obvious, you know, but it is important. Yes. I think it's really important. So AP, sorry, microphone. AP have just come out with their 150th celebrations. But the nugget in there for me, and social media has gone pretty wild on it, is of course, the updated perpetual calendar movement, the 7138, I think it is. And what's cool about that? Well, I said last week I wouldn't wear an IWC, but here it is. It's the 3755. It's the first. Give us a slight raised up fist. There we go. Going the right way. Oh, other way. There we go. Yeah. So it's the first ever perpetual calendar that was crown operated. Now I've seen quite a lot of things online comparing this to the new AP caliber. I don't think that's fair. This is the start of something. This is, you know, the genesis, and this is an evolution. This is an improvement. It's not the same watch. We sort of saw it coming, because we had our friend Mr. Ben Clymer in the States post a video about how difficult it is to manage traditional QPs. For those of you out there who don't know what it's like to own a perpetual calendar or to manage one, typically you've got to use a bloody stylus, a pusher, to push into the side of the case to adjust the day and the month and the year and absolute the moon phase. You've got to have a tool to sort of to change your watch. But in the same breath, also somewhat, and this is the world of watches we're talking about. Somewhat romantic. Yeah. The sort of the theatre of it. Actually, there was a wonderful article written in Hodinkee by Mark. His surname slips my mind. We'll put it in the we'll bring it up on the show, but absolutely fantastic, and it really sort of highlighted the sort of theatre of the perpetual calendar, and but still the evolution of it. And I actually I messaged him to say, like, this is a really cool article, and we ended up chatting, and he's like, I thought you'd slam me actually because you're an IWC fan and it's sort of like the original Crown Operated. So that's why Crown Operated is cool, and think about how complicated that is. All these different complications operated simply by pulling out the crown to sort of different settings. But anyway, what's cool about AP? So what AP have done is they weirdly, before you had to have the different sort of tools to operate it, but now there are so many ways. How do we start this? Number one, you can do it by the crown, so you can operate every single element of the perpetual calendar by the crown alone. Now, what differentiates that from, say, the Grubel example, which was really cool? Again, Instagram post where they sort of said, "Hey, we did this in 2015."
What reference was that out of interest from Grubel?
It's got a very long name. I can't. Again, we'll have to bring it up.
It probably looks very complicated.
But this is again where I think the watch world can somewhat lack nuance. It's like, oh no, IWC did that, Grubel did that. No, they're all different, and that's what's cool about it. So the AP is modular, which means you can operate any single part of it individually. So you don't have to do it in sort of sequence.
So you pull it out to a certain position.
Exactly.
And you can adjust during that process.
Exactly. One way does one thing, the other way does the other. So you can change the date without changing the month.
Yes.
Whereas normally you have to sort of, in the Grubel example, it all moves together. It's over-engineered. It's a really cool watch. But you're looking for different things. They both allow backwards operation, which is amazing. But with the Grubel example, it uses a bunch of coaxial gears, and it's just mechanically brilliant. And you look at it and there's something. Why do you buy a Grubel? You don't buy it for like the most refined thing, right? You buy it for its technical prowess. I think it has a 24-second tourbillon. It's a really cool watch. But what AP have done is that actually we'll make it modular, so you can, like I said, you can operate any part of it. It's super user friendly. In fact, they both are. It's really slim, unlike the Grubel. The Grubel is quite again in the Grubel style, not a bad thing. Slim equals, we all have preferences. Really slim watch. And basically what they've done is they've just made arguably the most user-friendly perpetual calendar, crown-operated perpetual calendar ever made. It's slim, it's modular, easier to service than something like that. So actually it's a massive leap forward. Probably quite surprising no one else is doing that, but I think that's really cool. And what's, again, it's not just the news that this has happened that I think is cool, it's watching the watch world react to it. Now you have the obvious, I will defend AP to the hilt. We all have brands that we love. But I think it's time to sort of step back and look at the 1980s when the first one was done and the evolution of it through time. And what's next? What's next for the perpetual calendar? And I think that's really cool. But the key point for me is there's room for all of these innovations and all of these brands that are doing important things, and we can have a conversation that includes the people.
Agreed. And it lives in the Royal Oak. It lives in the larger case, right? And the code.
The code. Yeah.
And I've got to say, for me, interesting enough, the takeaway was how damn good looking that code.
The new code.
Yeah, for me, with that QP sort of dial,
yeah,
it just sits nicely.
It's and nice.
It might be the nicest looking code that we've seen so far.
It's a good watch. I don't understand the hate on the code personally. I think it's evolved, for sure.
Yep. Now it's lost because now it's just battle markers, right?
Yep.
And that was the issue, was the font, the numeral
itself
was just a bit shitty. But now you're right. And the way those dials are, those sort of concentric dial patterns, colours, materials, sizing. There's a 38.
Yep.
There's a 41. No, I really think it's interesting. And I don't think the architecture of these new movements coming through from AP, while very, very impressive, I don't think they've got the same charm as movements from yesteryear. That's my only comment.
Aesthetically,
yeah.
Okay.
They look very robust to me. There's less emphasis for sure on finishing and more emphasis on engineering, I would say. There's been a real step change, something I've noticed since the code and onwards, since that new caliber was introduced in the code. It's quite functional, I would say. More functional than
that's fair.
Whimsical.
But almost that is exactly what this new evolution is. It's technically very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
It's way more functional, way more user-friendly. Maybe, but that's an interesting discussion, actually, that sort of the push on technical...
what impact that has on aesthetics.
Yeah.
I mean, in many ways, IWC, that's what IWC was and is for so long, was bigger pocket watch calibers for
Yep.
robustness, for accuracy.
Yeah.
Finishing wasn't a focus. That's why most case backs
very
were
true.
closed for a very long time. Closed case back.
Very close, yeah.
We should say, for those unsure about this, now, if Emily did happen to sync that watch incorrectly, particularly a year, for example, you're then having to go to watchmaker. That has to go back to watchmaker to fix. So that is what we're talking about. That's what the stakes are here.
Yeah.
My final question to you before we close this segment is, what does it really mean in reality here for owners out there of QPs? What's it going to have? What's the impact on older, perpetual calendars, Royal Oaks for AP? Are people going to suddenly say, do you know what? I like the old way. I liked it how things were before. I don't want to go back, because that's pretty much that's in line with how the watch world works. It's like, hey, I like the old style.
And almost how the world works. Like we got the internet, and now everyone wants books. I sit behind a laptop all day, but what I love doing is building something with my hands. It's funny, isn't it, how you think you want all these things, and then you sort of go back to the OG. But what does it mean is a fantastic question, and something I hope we achieve with this news segment is it's not just repeating what is told, it's trying to contextualise things. And you did something which I didn't do, which was contextualise why this innovation matters. So if I go to 2026, I have to leave my watch on the side until it gets to another year, or go back to IWC and pay.
Yeah.
Right? They're both not great solutions.
How do you find managing it? That's a question people might be wondering.
I wear it all the time, so it's
good.
fine. But if I don't wear this for 6 months, I have a lot of turning to do. I have to go through every day. So why does it matter? Well, it's like anything. Somebody actually, I posted about the new, the IWC Toto Wolf. I went and saw Billy's, just wanted to see it. And somebody was like, I don't care about 30,000 Gs of impact. Why do I need that driving around the corner? Which is highlights the why. Why do you need a tourbillon? Why do you need a watch? None of it really matters, So the why for me is just because they can, and because they should, and they're AP.
There's so few things in our life that we can just enjoy things for the fact that they are what they are, and that they're doing things that they're doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. In fact, that hits the nail on the head. That commenter has nailed it, because at the end of the day, that is what the world of watchmaking is. It's an opportunity to develop and push into things that we no longer need, be it aesthetics, design, materials, because we can and we want to, and we want to support something that's done in that way, that other things in our lives are very transactional and short-termist.
Sure. It's for me, it's art for the sake of art. That is it. It's technical development for the sake of technical development. I don't need to see where the moon is on my wrist.
Agreed.
But I do it all the time. I'll look, and this is so romantic. I love when you go to a manufacturer or just look at your watch, and you see someone that's dedicated their life to enamelling. That's all they do. They wake up every morning and they think, how can I make this better?
By the time this comes out, you guys will have seen our trip to Audemars. It's coming out just before this, so you will have seen us appreciating artisans, like the guy who's making the Audemars straps, like by hand,
Unbelievable.
who had been through the training in Paris and then deployed
Make the bags first. He was doing the saddle stitch,
exactly.
the same saddle stitch,
exactly,
on the strap that is on the a Kelly or a Birkin.
Yep.
That is the point. The point is that there is no point.
The point we can do it, not that we need to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's beautiful.
Right, thanks, Em. That's your segment done for this month.
All right.
We are moving on to the very, very important subject now of what watch President Donald Trump would wear to bed. And we're going to speculate on what he would wear to bed if he were to wear a watch to bed. The reason for this is that I have commented recently about wearing watches, confessing to wearing watches to sleep in. It's a divisive subject, almost as divisive as the man himself. We are in the UK, we have no allegiance to anyone politically, and we will make no comment about our views on politics. And we hope you understand that. But we are here to talk watches. Mr. Donny Trump, we're going to refer to him moving forward as Donny T. Donny T likes his watches, let's be clear. He likes his watches.
He's got some, I would say, very classy watches for...
He's got some classics. Now, I've got this up here. I've got my phone out because we thought that it was right to just be absolutely accurate here on. First up, we've got the Patek Philippe Golden Ellipse.
Beautiful. Great watch.
Now, the reference is the 3738, a reference I've actually owned. Now, not on a gold bracelet. He seemingly has it on a gold bracelet. Which he does. I've seen it there. He's playing golf with it. Curious. I wouldn't want to play golf in a mechanical watch for sure, but but there we are. He's got it on a gold bracelet. I've had the grey dial before on a leather strap. First time I'm talking about the fact that I no longer have it, because I did do a video on buying it.
Oh no.
Amazing watch on others. It was a little bit small on me, and the crown was a nightmare to use.
Oh, really?
Amazing
Was
watch.
it so small?
Very small, very difficult to wind. But that's a side note, guys. Anyway, that's first up. He's got 3 watches we're going to touch on, and we're just going to touch on maybe what we think would be most suitable to sleep in. We don't want to dive into his sleeping arrangements. We know he's got a
get your mind out of the toilet, Justin.
He's got a master suite that, if it could talk, would have some stories to tell, no doubt. Rolex Day-Date President bracelet in yellow gold.
I think bought before he was president as well.
Correct. Yellow gold man. Yellow gold man, interesting enough. We're not going to touch on his own watch. He does retail his own watch controversially.
The Tourbillon.
Now, I don't know that... Yeah, the Tourbillon. I still don't think he directly had any involvement in that. I think that was a third party getting involved in that. But we won't dive into that because we're not entirely sure. And this is a serious outlet here. This is a serious accredited news. So we've got that there. And then we've got the Vacheron Constantin Historique Ultrafine 1968, which is a square watch with a brushed silver dial, which we agree is absolutely stunning. And if one thing we can say is that is, I'm going to say, is my pick of the 3.
Yeah, it's my pick, actually, yeah.
And you very rarely see it.
Which is really cool. I mean, that had some good taste. This is shockingly
He's
good
got some
taste.
classics there. I mean, the ellipse, wow. Anyone seen with ellipse right now has to be credited for that. Slowly making its way back into popular culture. The one that's available now, just slightly too big, the 3738, is the jumbo version and is a great size for most, by the way. The Day-Date, well, it's an absolute icon. He's gone solid gold.
Yep.
And that was Tariq, fantastic. So we've got 3 great watches. And what do you reckon? What out of those 3, which is going to sleep best, in your opinion?
Sleep best. So I don't sleep in watches, Justin. I
Just
think
to be clear,
that's
so
absolutely outrageous.
We agree on most things, but it's nice to know there are some things.
It's a hard line. There's a big divide here.
Yep.
Chasm. No, I don't sleep in watches. What do I... Well, I imagine... I don't think sleeping in anything full steel will be very comfortable. But then sleeping in leather, you might get hot and sweaty. Maybe it's the ellipse, I know that's still full material.
It'll be the smaller and the more nimble.
Yeah.
Structurally.
You might just miss it, it's just there. You just don't think about it.
Look, he's an older fella. He's probably getting up for a pee, if we're being honest. He's getting up for a pee.
True.
And I wear a watch. I only wear titanium watches to sleep in, strangely, because I find them just...
Do you if you're wearing a different watch in the day, will you put a titanium on at night?
No.
Okay.
It'll be that... If it's not titanium, it comes off. It's titanium. I've got a young child, and I will often be up at night for various reasons.
Okay.
And I like to keep an eye on what time it is to make me feel even more frustrated at the fact that I'm up at 3:30. But at least I know that it's 3:30. And recently it's been the Type 5, the Renaissance Type 5, which is insane because it's 46mm oil-filled titanium watch. But I've been sleeping in that, and I love the lume on it. It's just like, boom. Yeah. Amazing lume. Anyway, so we're thinking ellipse because of the structure and
the warmth of the
bracelet, because the gold at that point is going to be, we're assuming he's going to have worn it all day.
Yeah.
And the warmth of that, it's not like he's putting on in the morning. We all know what that feels like, a gold watch or a steel watch.
Yeah.
Interesting, titanium, very different sensation.
What a watch.
Again, warms very quickly to the skin. So, geez, I'm almost with you, but I'm going to go Vacheron purely because... Oh, God, it's difficult because that square is likely not going to sit.
It's not comfortable,
Do you know
is
what?
it?
I'm tempted to go Vacheron. I'm going to join you. And I'm going to go ellipse. I'm going to go ellipse. We're going to agree on that. Guys, tell us below in the comments, which out of those 3 is he going to be sleeping in?
I'd love to know when he bought them, the context. There must be some article somewhere. Like, did he go to Vacheron? Because they're not new watches.
No. Discontinued, I think that Vacheron's been discontinued
they
sometime.
are period watches. Like, who was he when he bought them? What was his... Because I haven't seen him anything new. You couldn't imagine him in a Big Bang, weirdly.
Ironically.
I think my hand gestures are changing. I'm sort of mimicking them now.
I have to comment now, actually, thank you for reminding me. The chap who commented on the previous episode when we touched on Bonnie Blue in our final segment as to which watch she would want, of course...
We missed that.
She would have been wearing a Big Bang. We missed that entirely, so thank you, sir, for that.
Winner.
We read all the comments and we always get back to you. Thank you for this month. We will be back in March.
We will.
At the end of March, we'll be back. We record at the last Friday of every month.
Yep.
Thank you very much for
Watches and Wonders.
Just before Watches and Wonders, and we think it's going to be a banger of a month in March. Strategically interesting time of the year. Who's going to get in there just before the punch?
Yep.
Ladies and gents, thank you for joining me. My name's Justin Hast.
My name's Emily Marsden.
We'll see you next month. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Good night.